Today, we're sharing a book titled The Awakened Family by psychologist Shefel Sari. This is a very new topic, one we're exploring for the first time: parenting. But this book isn't just about traditional parenting methods. What makes it special is how it transcends conventional advice to reach a profoundly enlightening philosophy for you and your entire family. The book delves straight to the root of the problem, showing us that many people feel exhausted and distressed in their relationships with their children because they've been applying their efforts in the wrong place. We've poured too much energy into trying to change our children, believing it's for their own good. But in reality, children come into your life to awaken you, to help you re-examine yourself, and to live a happier life. A child under the age of 3 is inherently awakened. However, adults often have a bad habit of constantly adding to their children's lives, believing that children must strive harder for a better future. Parents often can't accept their children wasting time, fearing they'll fall behind society, and so they dictate what their children should do and learn. When children argue back or disobey, a thought immediately flares up within you. I've raised them for so many years, given them an education, and now they're disrespectful and unfilial. How will they treat me when I'm old? Behind these thoughts lie countless fears, and the more you fear, the more you want to intervene and change your child. But these proactive interventions from a young age can destroy a child's natural essence, shifting them from an awakened state to one of defiance, like throwing tantrums, slamming doors, and locking themselves in their rooms, or maintaining silent distance. Gradually, they grow up amidst stress, carrying anxiety and sadness, just like how many adults live today. We need to understand that children awaken us, acting as mirrors reflecting all the hidden fears deep within ourselves. Children come into this world to help us see our own immaturities. You simply need to let your child retain their inherent awakened nature. They will love themselves, treat themselves well, be full of curiosity about the world, and do many things without ulterior motives. The most fundamental thing you need to do is change yourself. When you focus on transforming and perfecting yourself first, the entire family will gradually awaken. As you improve, so will everyone around you. This is a simple method that brings immense change to the entire destiny of individuals within a family. Yet, not everyone trusts it enough or is ready to implement it. If you desire a harmonious, happy family and truly want your children to mature, allow yourself to listen to new psychological perspectives. From there, find the answers for yourself as to why you have conflicts with your children. Through these conflicts, you can see the deep fears within yourself and discover how to overcome those fears to parent better, simultaneously embarking on your own journey of awakening. 7 major parenting misconceptions. Have you ever wondered what your child needs most throughout their life? This book's perspective aligns with the idea of the great psychologist Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, stating that a child truly develops healthily when they feel 3 things. First, I am seen. Second, I have value. Third, I am important. However, many parents fail to give their children these 3 things. Instead, what children often receive are criticisms or pressure-inducing expectations. You didn't do well enough, you need to try harder. You can't manage yourself, let your parents handle it. Conflicts between parents and children often stem from the fact that what children want, parents have never truly given. As a result, the child carries sadness while the parents feel exhausted. Many parents share a common feeling: my child is deliberately trying to annoy me. They're not doing their homework, they're trying to drive me crazy. The 2 siblings are fighting, they're deliberately giving me a headache. Please note that a child never intentionally tries to annoy their parents. They are simply being themselves. Perhaps it's too difficult, their mind is tired, or they simply forgot. It's an internal state of the child that hasn't been outwardly expressed. But why do you get angry about these things? Simply because you have too many emotional triggers. These are sparks that ignite with just a touch, and most of these triggers stem from misconceptions about parenting. The author summarizes 7 major misconceptions parents often hold. Misconception 1: parenting is for the child. Many parents often say, everything I do is for my child. All the wealth I accumulate now will be left to them later, who else? When someone pours all their parenting goals into a child, they unconsciously get caught in an endless rat race, an industrial competition with society to create prosperous and successful children according to adult standards. But the author points out that with this mistaken perception, parents easily fall into the trap of excess, believing their child is too quiet, too shy, too sensitive, too lazy, too carefree, too unmotivated, and so on. In other words, any characteristic of a child can be exaggerated into a weakness in the eyes of their parents. Your child might be good at math but not Vietnamese. You say they're too imbalanced in subjects. Your child likes to draw and dream. You say they're too impractical and unrealistic. Your child loves outdoor activities. You say they're too naughty, won't sit still to study. No matter how the child expresses themselves, you still feel they are not enough or too much. When you place the entire focus of parenting on your child, you'll find your demands are endless. This will cause children to live in anxiety and suffering because they always feel they are never good enough. Misconception 2. Successful children are always ahead. Do you realize that society is becoming increasingly competitive? Children are learning foreign languages, playing musical instruments, and dancing at younger and younger ages. Besides their main schoolwork, they have to attend extra classes and all sorts of extracurriculars. When one's perspective only sees everything as competitive, they'll think that if another child surpasses theirs in school, they will always be ahead for life. Therefore, many parents force their children to study, pressuring them to participate in these competitions. But try to recall your old class rankings from school and then observe the lives of those people now. You'll realize how much everything has changed. Life doesn't follow a fixed order. Everyone experiences highs and lows. No one stays in the same position forever. The author likens a child's capabilities to 5 fingers. External achievements, scores, and accomplishments are merely the pinky finger, the smallest one. The other 4 fingers represent the ability to adjust to different relationships. The thumb, the relationship with oneself, whether the child is at peace with themselves. The index finger, the relationship with family. The middle finger, the relationship with the community. The ring finger, the relationship with the goals and ideals the child strives for. When these 5 fingers come together, they form the comprehensive educational goal for a human being. But today, parents invert this order. They regard the pinky finger as everything, constantly comparing their children, making them study extensively, compete, win awards, and earn certificates. Once you believe you can clearly envision your child's future and try to rigidly dictate the path they must follow, conflicts and disagreements between you and your child will inevitably increase. Misconception 3. Labeling your child as good or bad. Many parents unconsciously judge their children by constantly labeling them. My kid is so lazy. My child is so stubborn, they never listen. My child is so naughty, always grumpy, and so on. The reason labeling children is so common is that it's often much easier than self-reflection. Most adults believe, I am mature, so I don't need to change. Therefore, whenever a problem arises, the first and easiest reaction is to focus on the child's flaws instead of bravely reevaluating one's own role and methods. As a result, when these labels are repeated long enough, children internalize them and identify with the very labels adults attach to them. And parents will forever remain giant children in adult bodies. Conflicts in the parent-child relationship also increase accordingly. Misconception 4. Good parenting is an innate ability. This misconception, similar in nature to misconception 3, also prevents most parents from learning, training, and changing. Not a few people believe that parenting is a natural instinct, that simply having children will automatically equip them with the knowledge to raise them well. If they believe this, parents can easily fall into complacency or helplessness. When difficulties arise, they tend to blame the child's innate personality or lament their fate for having such a child. Furthermore, parents who fall prey to misconception 4 often simultaneously fall into misconception 5. Misconception 5. Simply loving your child makes you a good parent. Because of this, in many families, we often hear the phrase, Mom or Dad does it out of love for you. This statement always seems to carry a sense of justification, as if every parental action, no matter how hurtful or pressuring, is rationalized by the 2 words, love for you. It's true that parents' motives might stem from love, but that doesn't mean what the child receives is true love. A 12-year-old girl burst into tears during a therapy session with the author, saying, I feel like my whole life is about making my mom happy, but no matter how hard I try, it's never enough. There's always something more I have to do better. This girl's lament echoes the feelings of hundreds of other children. They are overwhelmed by a version of love packaged in expectations, pressure, and control. So what is the biggest trap here? Much of our love is actually self-love disguised as caring for others. Like parents who go to a parent-teacher meeting for their child but feel humiliated because their child misbehaved in class. Or some feel proud because their child receives praise. Is that truly love behind it? Or are we perhaps in love with the feeling our child gives us? A feeling of being recognized, of saving face, of proving that I am not a bad father or mother. And when love is centered on the parents themselves, all of the child's achievements or mistakes become a measure of the adult's worth. A child growing up with this kind of love will always be stuck between two things: fearing disappointing their parents and not daring to live according to their own true needs. So, what should true love for children be like? The author defines it beautifully. Love is an ability to see, accept, and respect others for who they truly are. To love with awareness means constantly nurturing that ability, stepping out of our ego, and maintaining a genuine connection with the other person. This means we don't demand that they love us back, nor do we impose conditions on the love they give us. In other words, our emotions are not at the center of that act of loving. Such love truly challenges us to respect ourselves, to feel complete from within, so complete that we don't need anyone else to provide that fullness for us. If you truly love your child, you will not expect reciprocation. The child won't need to do anything to exchange, prove, or repay, because the love that blossoms from within has already made you feel content. Perhaps at this point, many parents will wonder, so if we don't demand, don't teach or mold our children from a young age, how can they grow up to be happy? But this is also misconception 6, which many fall into. Misconception 6. A parent's mission is to raise a happy child. We often see many parents who are terrified of their children experiencing any harm or setback in life. They believe, my responsibility is to give my child everything best. If a child experiences even a small failure, parents immediately panic. An inner fear arises, I cannot let this happen to my child. In any situation where the child needs to face something themselves, parents immediately rush in to solve it, shield them, or take on the burden. But in reality, life is inherently impermanent, and setbacks always hold their own sacred meaning. Perhaps the pain and challenges your child needs to experience are precisely what will motivate them to constantly improve and rise later on. So, please do not deny your child the opportunity to learn how to stand firm. Misconception 7. I want to control everything about my child. This is a more serious misconception. Many parents like to control everything because they feel they've never been able to control anything in their own lives, from childhood to adulthood. So, when they have children, they believe they finally have mastery and the right to control everything. In this need for control, they forget that the most important thing is not to create a child who conforms to their standards, but to nurture a true human being. So, what does a true human being look like? It's someone who can experience their own life. Parents must not deprive their children of those experiences. Even if they are painful experiences, children have the right to feel them. We know that some of your child's experiences will evoke strong emotions in you. You will also feel pain and sadness. But do not let those emotions obscure the truth that children have their own path, not yours. We do not have the right to decide what kind of person our child should become. But we do have the privilege of helping our child see the importance of being true to themselves. How? By affirming that everything your child possesses is precious, from their strengths and charming traits to their limitations and imperfections. All of it is a part of them and deserves to be seen with love. When parents can truly accept their children in their current state, instead of trying to manipulate them to change or conform to what they imagine, then those parents are truly awakened parents. Identifying 9 major fears within you. Awakening is not about learning something new. It's about removing 2 layers of veils, the layer of mistaken perceptions and the layer of fears that silently guide us. Simply recognizing the misconceptions in parenting is not enough. We also need to look deeper into the root of all behavior, at the fears operating within us. Through a dualistic lens, people often try to divide life into 2 opposing categories: joy and pain, happiness and unhappiness. Then, unconsciously, they try every way to cling to one side and flee from the other. Unable to bear the dark side of emotions, many parents panic at the feeling of pain, avoiding all negativity within themselves and their children. This makes them very afraid of conflict. This is also the first fear often present in many parents: the fear of conflict asterisk. Due to fear of conflict and a desire to avoid disharmony, parents will often try to please their children through behaviors such as becoming overly lenient in front of them or complying with their demands, but feeling resentful afterwards. They can't firmly say no to their children, or each refusal makes them feel guilty, prompting them to try to compensate later. They also cannot tolerate the sight of their children arguing or fighting at home, feeling anxious and needing to intervene immediately. In the outside world, people who fear conflict always live in fear of being judged, opposed, or perceived as difficult. They don't know how to refuse, taking on every task others ask of them and exhausting themselves. If the fear of conflict causes parents to avoid all disagreements and clashes, there is another fear that also has the nature of avoiding uncomfortable or sad emotions. That is the fear of unhappiness ***. Parents with this fear often do not allow their children to express discomfort at home. As soon as a child is unhappy, parents will try to fix their pain, for example, by taking them out to eat, to the movies, shopping, etc. Or, when a child's emotions make parents anxious, they immediately force the child to suppress them. For example, they might say, "Boys don't cry," or "What's there to be sad about?" Or if a child has a sensitive, weak personality, parents will look down on them. Parents with the fear of unhappiness and the fear of conflict often prefer a smooth, peaceful, happy, and joyful life. They dare not confront the dark side of life. However, the more they run from negative emotions and all forms of imperfection, the more parents inadvertently deprive their children of the opportunity to practice core life skills, such as conflict resolution and confronting pain as an inevitable part of human existence. The result is that children become less resilient, crave easy comfort, and live in family relationships that appear harmonious on the surface, but are filled with false communication underneath. Next, the fear of not being loved is the third fear. Parents living with this fear always need signals to know their children still need and love them, and they are very sensitive to their children's reactions, often exhibiting behaviors like these. They interpret a child's natural need for separation and opposition as rejection. For example, when a child closes their room door for privacy, parents might think the child is avoiding them, that they are not needed. Or when a child frowns, yells, or stays silent, they immediately feel the child is deliberately defiant or no longer loves them. Often, they get angry very easily, overreacting to their child because they feel empty inside, lacking internal resources. For instance, if a child simply forgets to clear the dinner table, the parent might immediately shout, "You don't respect me at all." If the fear of not being loved distorts natural parental love into clinginess and emotional reactivity, there's another fear that drives parents to want to maintain dependency. Either the child depends on them, or they depend on the child. This is the fear of autonomy the fourth fear. For parents with this fear, independence and self-reliance equate to the risk of separation and detachment from their child. Therefore, they will outwardly express this by finding it difficult to accept their child having their own space or their own life, feeling betrayed if the child holds a different opinion than theirs. From a young age, they make children feel that having their own opinion is wrong or shameful. For example, when a child says, "I don't like doing that," the parent might immediately scold, "What do children know to have an opinion?" Looking deeper, parents controlled by the fear of not being loved and the fear of autonomy are actually afraid of loneliness, afraid of losing connection, afraid of being left behind. Parents obsessed with this fear will create a suffocating relationship that deprives the child of the space to become themselves. Next is the fear of being useless the fifth fear. Many people believe, "I'm not good enough, I have no real value." To combat this feeling of uselessness, they try to prove their worth through their children, viewing their children as an extension and proof of their own success. Their behavior focuses on controlling their child's image and achievements. For example, they demand excellent achievements from their children, social status, are obsessed with the family's outward appearance and image and try to control their child's relationships, overcaring for their child's appearance and teaching them to see it as a measure of worth. If being useless is the fear of being nothing, there are also those who fear being no different from anyone else. That is, the fear of mediocrity asterisk. This is the sixth fear. These parents believe that only exceptionalism brings meaning to life. This fear turns parenting into a relentless race to avoid becoming ordinary. Therefore, from a young age, they pressure their children to excel in academics or talents, readily criticize and shame them if they aren't outstanding enough, supervise them strictly out of fear of failure, and emphasize the importance of competition, teaching their children that life is about winning. Alongside these, there's another fear somewhat similar to these two, the fear of scarcity asterisk. Many people believe that all opportunities and resources in life are limited. If they don't seize them quickly, someone else will take them. This scarcity mindset creates panic and overreactions to all of their child's problems and an immediate desire to fix the child. For example, panicking when a child performs poorly in school or has low achievements. Exaggerating all of the child's mistakes and shortcomings, like immediately hiring a tutor if a child is slow in learning, forcing them to lose weight if they are overweight, etc., or hastily making their child do something just for fear of missing an opportunity, without truly understanding what their child needs. Then there is asterisk the fear of losing control asterisk, the eighth fear. This is the fear of losing the steering wheel in their child's life and their own. It makes parents constantly try to protect, dominate, and unable to let go. Parents living with this fear see their child as a crucial part of their own life's success. They are often very proud of their parenting role, feeling that their child cannot thrive without their continuous guidance and presence. You can see now that not a few people, from elementary school onwards, constantly do their children's homework for them or put immense pressure on themselves to meet all their children's needs, because any perceived shortcoming would prove them to be failed parents. In summary, these four fears: the fear of being useless, the fear of mediocrity, the fear of scarcity, and the fear of losing control are all different paths leading to the same abyss, a profound sense of lack. They make parents view their children not as independent individuals to love and guide, but as tools to fill their own inner voids. Children become instruments for parents to affirm their value, create meaning, achieve security, and maintain power. Children growing up in such a family environment will feel pressured by achievement demands or feel anxious and disheartened under parental control. They may grow up achieving external successes, but internally, they often carry a fragile ego, always feeling they are never enough. Finally, there is asterisk the fear of dedication asterisk asterisk. This is the fear of pouring one's heart, time, attention, and energy into the relationship with children. Parents with this fear often exhibit the following behaviors, finding it very difficult to play with their children with the relaxed mindset of a child. They are rarely truly present, easily lose patience, become distracted, and are superficial in interactions. When children ask for help, they do it out of obligation or with a feeling of being forced, frequently procrastinating, avoiding, or finding excuses not to spend quality time with their children. Because committing themselves makes them feel exhausted, deprived of freedom, and burdened with responsibility. Children growing up in families with such parents often feel they are not worthy of love, leading to low self-esteem and withdrawal. As they grow older, they will struggle to build deep relationships and love fully, or conversely, they will become excessively craving attention. The wonderful thing about reading this psychology book is that it first helps you look at your daily behaviors to self-diagnose, but self-diagnosis is not self-judgment. Parents, please do not view the pointing out of misconceptions and fears within you as a judgment or accusation. All healing begins with daring to confront. Bitter medicine is what cures illness. The truth always has a bitter taste. In balanced nutrition, bitter vegetables are often very good for health. Therefore, please trust that this is a beneficial therapeutic approach for you. There's a saying that awakening is the journey of destroying everything you once believed to be true. If you don't know what mistaken beliefs you hold or what you fear, there's no way to change. Looking directly into the darkness within yourself is not a failure. It is the first milestone of freedom. and I believe that your listening this far is a sign that you are truly ready to embark on that journey of freedom. Because the book's content is quite deep and rich, I've divided it into two parts to make it easier for you to follow and absorb. In the second part, I will share practical methods to overcome fears, along with 9 enlightened parenting skills that will help you and your children live more lightly, self-reliantly, and connect more deeply with each other. If you are ready to take the next step, break limiting beliefs, understand yourself, and practice cultivating awareness daily. This is the path that leads you and your children to true freedom.